Can you believe it? 2024 is coming to a close, and this is our last podcast episode of the year. So today I wanted to dive into something that's front and center for many of us at this time of the year, and that is managing our emotions during the holiday season. Because the holidays bring with it a whirlwind of emotions, especially for service-based businesses who are juggling client work with family obligations and all of the end-of-year expectations. This time of the year can be financially draining, it can be emotionally charged, and it's definitely full of expectations, some of which we put on ourselves. So in this episode, I wanted to talk about how to navigate the ups and downs of the festive season by understanding our emotions and, more importantly, the thoughts driving those emotions. By the end of this episode, my hope is that you'll have a fresh perspective on actionable strategies so that you can stay grounded and navigate the holiday season with some grace. Kia ora and welcome to Business Your Way. I'm your host, Sandra Julian, a certified business coach with over 2 decades of experience in building and scaling businesses. Over that time, I've learned that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to business success. What matters is finding the approach that works for you. So this podcast is all about helping you scale your service-based business with strategies that align with your soul and your values. I want to help you drop that hustle culture and focus on more sustainable, soul-aligned growth. I invite you to join me in each episode for insights and actionable steps that will work for you. Let's make your business feel right for you in a way that truly fits with your life and the life that you want to live. This isn't a topic that I've brought to the podcast before, but I think it's important to talk about because when you understand your emotions, you'll be better prepared to manage your actions and your experiences. Because much of our life is filled with contrast. And contrast is things like light and dark, joy and sorrow, abundance and stress. And this duality is part of the human experience. But what I know for sure is that this duality is especially pronounced at this time of the year. So if you think about it, the excitement of holiday traditions sits alongside the pressure of meeting everyone's expectations. The satisfaction of closing out the year in business contrasts with the exhaustion that has come from tying up all your loose ends and riding the wave that has been the last 12 months because the economic climate has been a challenge. Duality is the way life seems to offer us a mix of good and bad, joy and challenge. And that's why I wanted to talk about managing our emotions on the podcast today. And I want to explore with you and bring to the forefront this concept of duality, because I think once we really understand that this is life and the duality of life helps us experience our emotions to the full extent. So one way to frame this is through the idea of life being 50-50, a concept that helps us understand and manage our emotions by giving them context and contrast. It's a concept that's definitely helped me in recent times, but not something that I'd given a heck of a lot of thought to before. It's been a concept that has really resonated with me as I've been stepping into the role of a coach and going through coach certification, because coach certification helps us explore our clients' thinking and understanding, and part of that is the emotional journey as well. But before we dive into emotional duality, life at its core is balanced by duality. So that's kind of something that I really want to have you understand before we move into specifically talking about emotional duality. So everything in our world has its counterpart, like day and night, loud and quiet, light and dark. This duality is what gives each part of life its meaning. We appreciate the brilliance of daylight because we've experienced the calm mystery of night. In many Indigenous cultures, including the Māori culture, duality is deeply ingrained in the culture. So, for instance, if you take te ao me te po, the world of light and the world of darkness, together they represent the cycle of life, death and regeneration. Another example from the Māori culture especially is tapu and noa, where tapu represents sacredness and restriction, and noa represents normalcy or freedom. These dual roles complement one another, creating balance and harmony. So even in relationships such as those between men and women, there is a shared responsibility, each contributing something essential yet distinct, especially in a cultural context anyway. The balance is woven into the very fabric of our cultural life. And as business owners, we also see this duality every day. The quiet of reflection fuels the energy of decision making. The satisfaction of closing a deal exists alongside the challenge of overcoming a setback. And this one is really front and center for me right now. But this natural duality doesn't just exist externally, it also exists within us, especially when it comes to our emotions. So, just as life is balanced by the light and dark, our emotions are balanced by joy and struggle. This is the concept of 50-50, right? It doesn't mean we're failing when we feel negative emotions or that success will make us immune to challenges. Instead, it reminds us that there is a full spectrum of emotions, and this spectrum of emotions is part of our human experience. Think about the pride you feel after achieving a really big goal. That pride is often sweeter because you've had some struggles getting to that accomplishment. On the flip side, the frustration of a setback can remind us of what matters the most, so we know where to focus our energy. So I hope this is helping you see that both sides of the emotional spectrum have value. They give our lives depth and contrast. Now, while duality exists in life and emotions, how we experience it depends on our thoughts. Our emotions are not dictated by external circumstances. They are created by the thoughts we have about those circumstances. So, for example, imagine your business is slowing down over the holidays. This is the circumstance or the situation. Business is slowing down. One thought that you could have about that situation might be, this is a disaster. I'll lose momentum. And that thought creates fear. But another thought that you could have about the exact same situation could be, this is an opportunity to recharge and plan for next year. Now, that thought might create calm or even excitement about what's going to come next year. Emotional duality is not about avoiding negative emotions, but actually understanding that we have the power to choose the thoughts that serve us better. So both of those examples I gave you, the emotion of either fear or calm is created by the thought, and you could have different thoughts about the exact same situation or the exact same circumstance. So let me give you a couple of other real world kind of scenarios to demonstrate this a bit more. So imagine a client is requesting changes to a project at the last minute, and your thought might be, this is unfair, or your thought might be, you're a pain in my ass, which creates the emotion of frustration. But shifting the thought to, I'll handle this professionally and set boundaries for next time, that can shift your feelings to confidence that you can enforce your boundaries. So be very careful about the thought that you have around a circumstance or around a situation. And this comes with practice, because when you can identify what is the situation, what is the thought that I'm having, and what emotion is being created because of that thought, and if it's emotion that you don't want to have, you can choose a different emotion by changing your thought about the circumstance. Another, maybe more personal example, well, maybe an example from part of a personal life. So a family member makes a critical comment at a holiday gathering. This can be super common as we move into the holiday season, right? So the thought you might have is, I'm not good enough. I'm never good enough. And then that creates this emotion of sadness, or you might just feel pissed off. But what if you could reframe that to something like, their opinion doesn't define my worth? So that thought can help neutralize the emotion and help you have confidence with who you are. Because when you can move from thoughts that are not serving you into having thoughts that serve you better, you will have a different emotional experience. But at the same time, it's important to remember that negative emotions aren't something to fix. They're just part of the balance that gives us meaning to positive. So we have to have our negative emotions to give meaning to our positive emotions. So feeling overwhelmed by financial pressures during the holidays, for example, might lead to important conversations about budgeting or prioritizing what truly matters. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel good all the time, to feel happy all the time. So the goal is not to be happy all the time. The goal is to actually acknowledge both sides of the emotional duality, choosing thoughts that help you navigate life with clarity and purpose. So it's not about removing the negative thought. We have to feel that negative thought, acknowledge that it exists, examine why it is there, and then choose to change your thought to keep moving forward. Alrighty, let's talk about how to put this into practice. So there's 3 techniques that I'm going to share with you today, and the first one is journaling. So at the end of each day, reflect on one moment where you felt a strong emotion. That emotion could be a neutral emotion, it could be a positive emotion, could be a negative emotion. You choose the emotion, but reflect on a moment in your day where you had a really strong emotion. And then ask yourself, what was the thought behind that feeling? Would I like to keep this thought, or would I like to choose another thought? You'll be surprised at what happens when you sit down and you take a look at your emotions and you examine what was the thought that created that emotion. Is it a thought that served you, or would you be better served if you chose a different thought? All right, second technique that you could try is a reframing technique. So when a negative emotion arises, you can pause and name the thought that caused that negative emotion. So what was the thought that you were having that created that negative emotion? Then ask, what else could be true? And practice choosing a thought that serves you better. So it's about reframing the thought that you had and thinking about what else is true of that situation. Because I guarantee you, if you took the situation that created that negative emotion and examined the thought that created the emotion, you could probably come up with a list of 10 other thoughts that you could have around the situation. So reframing is a great tool to use when you want to move on quickly. And then the third technique is more of a mindfulness exercise. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, you could stop and take 5 slow, deep breaths. Just wherever you are, take a moment, close your eyes, and take 5 deep breaths. And then remind yourself, I am not my emotions. I'm the thinker of my thoughts. I want to say that one to you again, because when you really take that on board, it is really powerful. So as you are taking in these 5 deep breaths, you can remind yourself that you are not your emotions, but you are the thinker of your thoughts. That one is a goodie. Now, if this episode really resonates with you and you are ready to strengthen your emotional resilience while growing your business, I invite you to explore the benefits of working with a coach in the new year. Because coaching provides this powerful space to work through your thoughts and your emotions, and then help you navigate the challenges with clarity and confidence. Because sometimes when we are in our business and we are in the depth of it all and we just can't seem to get the momentum that we're after, or we're only noticing all of the challenges that we're coming up against, and we're not really celebrating the wins or the movement that we have got forward, that's where coaching is really powerful. Coaching provides this powerful space to work through your thoughts and your emotions. And when you can work through them with clarity and confidence, then everything changes. So this holiday season, you can give yourself the gift of support and engage with a coach. I encourage you to go and check out my coaching packages on my website, sandrajulian.co/coaching. I'd really love to work with you in the new year and build a business and a life that feels truly aligned with who you are. Alrighty, my friend, let's recap what we've covered today, because if this is new to you, it's a lot. It's a lot to take on board and to understand and to digest. So today we explored the duality of life, how contrasts like light and day, tapu and noa, day and night, they help us understand balance and meaning in our experiences. And then from there, we moved into the duality of our emotions, or that life is 50-50, and how recognizing this balance can help you manage your feelings. We also talked about the power of your thoughts and how they shape your emotions and provide you with the ability to navigate challenges and triumphs with intention. And then finally, we touched on those practical tools to help you reframe a situation, take a moment for mindfulness, or sit with your journal and stay grounded during the holidays. So as we wrap up 2024, I want to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for tuning in this year, and for allowing me to be part of your journey. This podcast exists because of you, and I am so grateful the connection that we have built with this podcast this year. If you're ready to take your emotional resilience to the next level, I'd love to support you. And coaching is a powerful way to work through your thoughts and your emotions while building a business that feels right for you. So please go check out my coaching packages at sandrajulian.co/coaching. Honestly, it will be the best gift that you give yourself for 2025. So here's to stepping into 2025 with intention, balance, and the confidence to embrace the light and the dark. Until next year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and keep building your business your way.